36 Brickfield Road, Overport. Call us on 031 207 2399. Kenfield Auto.
Ya Rasool Allah, Ya Habib Allah, Aka, 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 Aka. پھر کے گلی گلی تباہ ہو گئے صبر کی کھائے کیوں دل کو جو عقل دے خدا تیری گلی سے جائے کیوں رخصت قافلہ کشان غش سے ہمیں اٹھائے کیوں رخصت قافلہ کشان غش سے ہمیں اٹھائے کیوں سوتے ہیں ان کے سائے میں سوتے ہیں ان کے سائے میں کوئی ہمیں جگائے کیوں پھر کے گلی گلی تباہ ہو گئے صبر کی کھائے کیوں دل کو جو عقل دے خدا تیری گلی سے جائے کیوں یاد حضور کی قسم غفلت عیش ہے ستم یاد حضور کی قسم غفلت عیش ہے ستم خوب ہے قید غم میں ہم خوب ہے قید غم میں ہم کوئی ہمیں چھڑائے کیوں پھر کے گلی گلی تباہ ہو گئے صبر کھائے کیوں دل کو جو عقل دے خدا تیری گلی سے جائے کیوں وہ جو نہ تھے تو کچھ نہ تھا وہ جو نہ ہو تو کچھ نہ ہو وہ جو نہ تھے تو کچھ نہ تھا وہ جو نہ ہو تو کچھ نہ ہو.
Maritzburg, 105.6 FM. Hey, youth of today, it's time to keep it real. Real talk, real issues, real youth. From mental health and peer pressure to faith, identity, and the power of social media. No topic is off limits. Join Sumaya every Wednesday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. on Radio Lansar for real talk where your voice matters. It's your space, your story, your platform. Real talk, real issues, real youth. Only on Radio Lansar.
If you wanna look amazing, lady, you know what you gotta do right now. Cover up your beauty for the Almighty. You do all this for your deen. Sacrifice is only temporary. You know what you gotta do right now. Your hijab is your crown, we all see, and you wear it to serve Ilahi. Hijab, Biko, Hijab, Biko, Hijab, Biko. You wear it for Allah. Hijab, Biko, Hijab, Biko, Hijab, Biko. You wear it for Allah. She's independent, this hijab is on deen. She knows what she wants, she is a queen. She don't follow trends in magazines. Quran and Sunnah is a daily routine. If you wanna look amazing, lady, you know what you gotta do right now. Cover up your beauty for the Almighty. You do all this for your deen. Your sacrifice is only temporary. You know what you gotta do right now. Your hijab is your crown, we all see, and you wear it to serve Ilahi. Hijab, Biko, Hijab, Biko, Hijab, Biko. You wear it for Allah. Hijab, Biko, Hijab, Biko, Hijab, Biko. You wear it for Allah. HIJAB, she wears it, she's a queen. She wears it for her deen. It's a HIJAB, sophisticated girl. She's just like a pearl. She covers up her beauty for the one who made this world. If you wanna look amazing.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Youth Frequency. Yes, your youth show every Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. on 90.4 FM in Durban and 105.6 FM in Pietermaritzburg. Well, the holidays are finally here. Educators are practically overjoyed and relieved we sent your children back to you. Well, we also know that many of our dedicated teachers are actually busy writing exams. So they're writing exams. They're also waiting for what's happening. And also lots of them are at exam centers. Many of the teachers are still marking at the exam centers. They're exhausted. And when I mean at exam centers, if you're living, just say, in Overport or Newlands, an educator from there and you live around there, but maybe you got posted in Pietermaritzburg or Escort or Ladysmith to go and mark for 2 weeks and away from your family. And apparently they start from 7 to 6. That's the long hours. Well, exhausted, stressed, and they're waiting for the January, for the results so they can just chill. Tonight, we're diving into a powerful and meaningful topic. As young adults and even as teenagers, we often don't realize how deeply our parents' words shape us. Some words build us, inspire us, and push us forward, while others can stay with us for years, creating pressure, self-doubt, or emotional wounds. So today we're asking, how do our parents' words make us or break us, as we grow older? And why is it important to understand the impact of those words? So if you're a parent, stay tuned. This is a conversation every youth, every parent, and every family needs to hear. Yes, in studio, I have Jamie, Liam, and Michelle. Yes. Welcome back to Youth Frequency.
Looking so forward to being here. And as you said, such a powerful topic.
Exactly. On our previous show, Michelle, you were mentioning something, when you were younger, and this is what someone told you, and you still remember it. Words have such an impact. Jamie, you counsel, you chat to many the youth today when I'm looking at guys who are in their early 20s, around your age. And some of them, when they go through issues or when they're trying to, find themselves or they are depressed, when they go to a therapist or a counselor, something stems back when they were growing up and something was told to them.
Yes.
And that's when that made them who they are.
Yes.
So what have you noticed with the people you have interacted with?
Yes, it's as you said, healing always starts somewhere, and more times than most, it starts from childhood. It stems from childhood. In general, our subconscious mind is something that's so powerful, and our conscious mind is taking in everything each and every single second. So when you are a child, you don't have the brain development at that point in time to say, okay, yes, this is wrong, this is right, maybe I shouldn't listen to this. they are just taking that as you are saying it. So you're absolutely right. A lot of it does start in childhood, and in order to heal parts of yourself, you're needing to go back to these parts of you when you were a child, where maybe you got told something, or it was planted in your mind at that point in time. Yeah, it's quite a process.
Well, lots of us, they say, what they say, the inner child.
Absolutely.
The inner child. Michelle, your comments on this?
Yeah, I definitely agree that what parents say to kids does matter. I mean, I've had my own personal experiences as well growing up where I had certain experiences. So for an example, I was born with a musical talent, but because my dad was also musically inclined and he was passionate about that, and he saw that I shared the same talent, he always spoke about how confident I was and how I would win at everything, And the truth is, the minute you put a mic in my hand, because I always heard it, I got on the stage and I sang without fear, because he constantly spoke about how wonderful I'm going to do and how confident I was. Later on in my life, because I was so used to being pumped up and motivated, and I felt like I could conquer the world because that's how my dad treated me, I found in my relationships, I didn't always receive that. So what happened was, in the very early adulthood part of my life, I struggled in my relationship simply because I expected my partner to believe in me as much as my father did. So it's whether your parents are saying negative things to you or whether they are too positive and they believe in you too much, there's a very fine line, because either which way, once you get to adulthood, there are certain things you have to come to terms with. So I had to learn that not everybody's the same, and my relationships was different to the relationship that I had with my parents. So that's now from a confidence perspective. So I felt like I was totally failing in my relationship, but I wasn't. It was because that person wasn't my dad.
Exactly. And that happens a lot. Like, I mean, being an educator, generally when you call a parent for something, but no, he's not like that, or she's not like that. So parents and the outside world tend to see you differently. And sometimes when it's like your partner or someone who you're close to, you'll expect them to feel the same way your parents feel. But unfortunately, it's not always that's the case. Liam, when you think back to your childhood, what is one thing your parents said that still motivates you up till today?
I think it wouldn't necessarily be one specific thing that they said, but they were always game to support me in whatever it was that I wanted to do as a young child and growing up. And oftentimes, it sometimes wasn't even what they said, but sometimes just the unwavering support for whatever I wanted to do that really spoke volumes as a child, because sometimes you can lead by words, but you can also lead by example in that way. But it was definitely the encouragement to participate and give of your best. And especially if you wanted to have, if you had a goal that you wanted to sort of go after, they wouldn't necessarily say, no, it's too ambitious, but they'd say, okay, you can definitely do that. What's your plan? How do you want to go about it? So it was really interesting. That would be my takeaway from my childhood.
Lots of young adults and even much older people, on the flip side, when something a parent told them that hurt them or stayed with them in a negative way, how does this shape you, Michelle? I mean, you have friends and families who are much older, and how they were brought up, they could have been constantly sworn or beaten or treated inferior or I know lots of people say, like, if they were a female child, they were never respected or, stuff like that there. And it shaped them into a very aggressive adult, or sometimes they become very harsh or very withdrawn.
Yeah. So the example I used was a positive example, but growing up, I also witnessed a lot of negative examples as well also. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes you come from a family where you a child, where maybe you're the chubbiest. And as a parent, we sometimes look at our kids and say, oh, you're so cute and you're so chubby. And then we'll go to the family to visit family and we'll say, oh, this is my chubby child. And then some mothers or fathers don't even realize it, but they even make excuses for the chubbiness now. So it becomes a subconscious thing. So they're saying, oh, he or she's chubby, but they actually don't eat a lot. What we fail to realize is their child is listening. to these things. So you may be saying, oh, you're so cute and you're so chubby. I personally know somebody who grew up just because when we were little, we teased her that she's chubby. And she grew up knowing that she's chubby. And even right up into adulthood, we never knew that she was so conscious of her weight. But she's one of the most beautiful women I know. But when it comes to going out or going to weddings or looking for outfits, she's all conscious about her body. And how it came out was one day her and I disagreed. And she actually blurted out and said to me, when you guys used to tease me that I was chubby and fat, and I got the shock of my life, because all of a sudden I was taken aback and I was like, she's actually right, but it was done innocently, and parents used to do it as well also. So we don't, as you say, always realize the impact we have on our kids.
But you're so true what you're saying, because I think everyone sitting here, including Mandy, our tech, will probably have a story. And I say the way it is, we don't flower it, and I talk just the way I talk with you off air. I'm a very tall person, and when I was in primary school, you had educators who used to they won't call you your name, they'll call you maybe Hightower or that tall one or that thing, and especially when there's a whole lot, and you become very conscious of your height, and automatically when you're standing in a line, oh gosh, I hope I'm not the last person at the end of the line, and stuff like that. And I remember my mother used to say, but models are tall, and you're pretty, and but again, certain people put you in that box, and they don't realize, especially an educator, they make you so conscious about that. And my daughter's only 9, but you'll think she's 14, and she's very, very tall. And I always think what I went through, and I tell her, you know what, enjoy it, and you should be so proud. You can basketball, and she's very good in sports. So I think we also need to do that. But again, we also need to tell them, every person and every family and every people from different cultures, they look at beauty differently. Like the Chinese, wrap their feet to be so tiny. I don't think it's even a size 1. But today we have children who are girls and boys in primary school, not even in grade 5, and they're wearing size 7 shoes and 8 shoes. And sometimes parents get so conscious because, when we were doing this uniform drive, I've noticed a parent who came there with one of their children, and they were so shy to say loud that my daughter is taking a size 7 shoe, and this could have been a child who was probably in grade 6 or so. But why should we do this?
Yeah.
We should, the whole idea of youth frequency is to make everyone aware. We're keeping it real. And if we can change one parent or one youth out there, someone out there, you know what? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm totally fine. Thank you for telling that to me. So I'm a normal person. And, we're doing a really good job.
Yeah.
So we need to uplift each other. And also sometimes children, as you say, tend to tease each other. And sometimes it's not playful teasing. It's a mean, especially in the adolescence. And that sticks.
It does.
That sticks to you. Huh?
Can I tell you a quick story? Very quick one. So with my one daughter, Jamie will tell you, with Mia when she was little, so I did very similar to what my father did to me. Mia is good at everything, and she is. Jamie will tell you, from her grades at school to everything this child touches turns into gold, right? Like she's got the Midas touch, that sort of child. So from very small, I'd say, but you can do it. You're such a smart girl and you're going to come first. And she did. She literally has done so well because she believed that she could, because that's what I've always told her. However, when she got to about, it could have been just before she finished primary school, the 1 year she did not come first in class. I tell you, because she was so used to coming first, she told me she is not going to the awards. I said, but you came second. She says, I can't. I did so bad. So somewhere in between, as parents, we also need to be very aware that as much as we motivate and drive our kids, which is wonderful because we want confident kids, we also want to balance things out. So at that point, fortunately, it happened when she was still in primary school. I now realized that I had to teach her, you know what, sometimes it's okay not to be first.
No, exactly. But sometimes I sit as adjudicators for speech contest and debates and stuff in the Mlazi district. And you sit there and you observe the parents sometimes coming with their children. And you can just see that perfect or that I would say it's a bit of, ego parent coming, and they feel like my child's going to win. And after, I remember this one child, a grade 4 child, did her speech, and she did it very well. But when we went on the tea break, her mother was like shouting her and jacking her. You never do this and you never do that, and you could. And I'm just thinking, you're gonna make this child break, because
100%.
even though if she's an A student or even getting even a B, I mean, it will never be good enough if it's not 100%.
100%.
And even though in the eyes of her, I'm not perfect for my mom, but in the eyes of everybody, gosh, she's so good. She did so well.
Yeah. So we have to balance it. Have to.
But
so at that
parents
point,
fail.
I started to teach her that, you know what, sometimes somebody else needs a chance to be first. And fortunately, as I say, we caught it, and I realized that when she was still a bit young, so that helped her. Whereas imagine if that didn't happen, I would have probably went through high school, everything, motivating the child, and who knows, she might have gotten to a point of cracking. Fortunately now, she's different. So so that's good.
Jamie, do you think parents realize the power of their words, what it carries? I mean, how when we talk, like sometimes I think we don't realize that when we're talking to children.
Yes.
And even like sometimes our kids who are like in their late teens or mid 20s, early 20s, we say stuff, but we don't realize it sticks to you.
Yes. So I think the answer definitely is yes and no. And I say yes because as humans, we are all aware that our words have impact. I feel that we taught that from very small. I don't think that it's stressed enough from the adult perspective. But I'll also say no, because the reality is we also all human, and I think that we have to learn from experience. Unfortunately, sometimes the experience is drastic where the child can get affected, and where we can avoid that, let's avoid it. But I think as much as we can, we need to not only just say our words affect us, but practice what your words are if you know that it's affecting people.
Exactly. Well, a very interesting topic. And if you're a parent, or if you're just somebody out there who have something haunting you from the past, or you feel you're not perfect enough, even if you're an adult, and it stems from your upbringing, well, stay tuned. We are going to take a short ad break.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al Ansar.
اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم حرر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المرابطين على أرض فلسطين. اللهم شد أزرهم وسدد رميهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم الطف بإخواننا في كل مكان يذكر فيه اسمك يا أرحم الراحمين. استنصروك يا الله فانصرهم. اللهم ارحم الضعفاء والفقراء والمساكين والأيتام والنازحين والمشردين والأسرى يا أرحم الراحمين.
اللهم أنج المستضعفين من المسلمين في فلسطين. اللهم كن لهم عونا ونصيرا. اللهم كن لإخواننا المرابطين في المسجد الأقصى. اللهم كن لهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم فرج همهم، نفس كربهم، داو جرحاهم، عاف مبتلاهم، اشف مرضاهم.
top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio-visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Dreaming of your next getaway? With Show Mirage Travel, the world is within reach. From island escapes in the Maldives, Mauritius, and Seychelles to iconic cities like Dubai, Istanbul, and Egypt, we've got you covered. Sports lover? Catch Formula One, Premier League matches, and major global events live. Whether it's luxury, family adventures, spiritual journeys, or sport travel, we make it seamless and unforgettable. Book now at miragetravel.co.za or call 031 208 4222. Your journey starts here.
Radio Al-Ansar.
Parents, don't ever discount your own experiences. We live in a world where we are told to trust the experts, but they are often wrong. Your life and your experiences matter. Sit down with your children and tell them your life story, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let them make their own mistakes while knowing that you are there to support them. Good luck.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, I would like to say Jazakallah khair for giving me this opportunity to speak on this profound topic. The words of my parents have a great impact on the manner in which I perceive the world. It also impacts on my self-confidence and tends to influence my values. The positive words of reinforcement shared by my parents give me the confidence to try new things. Similarly, though the negative sentiments shared by my parents often create self-doubt and makes me feel anxious. In my own experience, I've noticed on many occasions, it's not the words, but the tone and manner in which it is said that has a more drastic impact on me. Words such as, "You are capable, I believe in you," this tends to give me confidence, support, and the will to take on risks or try new things. But words such as, "You never do anything right, why aren't you like your brother?" This tends to develop self-doubt in me, a fear of failure, or a need of constant approval. Parents play one of the most important roles in their child's emotional and psychological development. The words that parents speak, the tone that they use, and the messages that you repeat become part of the child's inner world. Their voice becomes the voice they hear inside themselves for the rest of their lives. Parents should foster an environment where their child's mental health is unbreakable. And at the end, the question, does a parent's words have a significant impact on their child? The answer is simple. It all comes down to the mental stability.
Well, you know what? These are views and opinions of people who sent us voice note. That's so true. We're talking this evening, the impact of our parents' words. Do they shape us? Do they build us, inspire us, push us upward? Or do they, demotivate us, give us self-doubt? Or is it emotional wound as we grow up? Well, that was quite two powerful things, and generally, we never touch on that one where parents do compare children.
Mm-hmm. They do.
Compare children. Why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you do this or do that? Mm-hmm. And as the old people always say, Michelle, your 5 fingers are not the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. That's true. So I think parents need to remember that. As young adults, do we communicate to our parents how the world or the words or what's going on affects us? Or do we just keep quiet and deal with it alone?
I think
or do we just smoke a vape in the room.
I think it's important as young adults that we do come to our parents and we communicate, how maybe their words or their actions may affect us in whatever way, or even the world around us. I know in my own personal experience, I feel very comfortable, especially now at this age, to come to my parents if something is not, if I didn't like the way something happened, or if something's not sitting right with me.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I was always, not that I didn't feel comfortable, I always knew there was a safe space in that, but it was more on the me side of things. I didn't want to bother. But I know in my own personal experience, now, I find it quite easy. Although sometimes, especially if it's something I don't like and it's something that I need to work on, sometimes I have a habit of snapping or not doing it in the nicest of ways, not being terrible, but I think it's very important. And when we do come to our parents to communicate how we are feeling, we do it in a very kind way.
But Michelle, did you ever tell your kids you're going to have a child 10 times worse than you?
I have.
I have. Why do parents say that? Because I remember my mother used to tell that. And my husband tells me, gosh, Fatima Zahra, she's just like you when you used to scream and shout at your mom. But that's the saying, huh?
Yeah. One day you will realize what I'm going through.
Exactly. But I think that's the circle where it's complete, where everyone goes to different stages and you're going to get to that stage. Why do some parents use harsh words? And do you think they understand the long-term impact of it?
I definitely, so I don't feel that in general us as humans will do something if we are convinced that it's wrong. In general, we do things, especially as a parent, because you are convinced that that's the best way or it's the only way that you know how. So a lot of the time, as I said, my answer earlier was, yes, we do understand the impact, but I don't think that we can fully comprehend it, especially the long-term effects. I mean, if I had to ask you, Sumaya, or you, Mom, as parents, if you understood the long-term effects that words have on your kids, would you say certain things? I don't think that you would.
May I just add on to what Jamie's saying?
Yeah.
From my perspective as a parent and also as a life coach / counselor, parents have a protective nature. So a lot of the time, and I know it's like I'm shooting myself in the leg here, but it's true, and I know other parents will relate to what I'm saying. We know the difference between right and wrong. We know that there are long-term effects. But when it comes to our own kids, right, that is my child. I gave birth to you. I do not expect you to do that.
I carried you for 9 months.
I carried you for 9 months.
Swollen feet.
Yeah, because you're mine, I expect you to be different.
Yeah, but that's the human aspect of who we are.
So we end up sometimes saying certain things that we do not mean because of the emotion that's behind what we're trying to teach you or saying to you. So you can be a counselor, you can be a psychologist, you can be whatever you want. Once you are a parent, you cannot be those things with your own kids.
100%.
You can't. You are not perfect. You can be a teacher, you know right from wrong. What we can do in that moment of emotion, right? We may not act as bad as some people who aren't educated, on these topics, but we do become emotional. Right? We walk away, think about it, and then very quickly come back and try and make it up. But parents, we are human too.
That's so true. And, before you know it, they're going to be a parent.
Exactly.
And look at grandparents, right? They whacked you. They gave you a hiding. They told you are going to embarrass us and you need to do this and blah, blah, blah. And the worst, But look at how they treat the grandchildren. They don't hit them. They don't scream. They don't shout. So there's something there to think about. Is there a difference between parents trying to push you to do better and parents causing pressure and anxiety? Where is that line?
So I always say that it's not the situation that matters, it's how you respond to it. And as we spoke about, when it comes to words, a lot of the time it's the emotion behind it. But I think with this, and it is very difficult, we all human now. If I am filled with emotion, especially I can't fathom it from a parent perspective, but then it becomes very difficult for you to use your logical brain to in that moment to be like, okay, this might cause stress and anxiety for my child. So there comes a moment where you needing to almost take that pause or that in between, because there is a very, very fine line. The more intense the emotion, and like you just say, if it's a mama bear is a really real thing. So you're coming down with that pressure, you're not thinking or realizing how much pressure that can be putting on the child, or how the child is then receiving that. I think it's easy for us to look at how we are giving off the emotion and what we're feeling, but that child could be interpreting what we're saying in a completely different way. And so when it comes to this, let's just say it's an important conversation you're wanting to have with your child, be aware of the words that you're using, especially if you're wanting to convey an important message. Be aware of how you're saying it. And yeah, be aware of how much pressure you're actually putting emotionally. At the end of the day, anyone in general, but especially if you're an adult, your feelings are valid, yes, but your feelings are your responsibility, and your child's feelings are their responsibility. Us having a relationship, our responsibility is then to help each other and want to hear what each other has to say, where you can help each other, but your feelings is not anyone else's responsibility.
Well, a message came through. We're talking about parents' words. What about the child's words? How many of you had your 18-year-old or your 21-year-old break things, cuss you? What about their words? Does it scar you, the parent?
I would say to a certain degree, because I mean we have kids, and your kids go through adolescence. So I've had one or two, situations where one or two of my kids have said something mean. It does scar you, but for me, I think I felt more scarred in the moment.
Yeah.
In the moment, it's like, how could my child say that? Walk away, you feel hurt about it, etc. But once we calm down, we tend to realize that we were also once there, because that's a difference between a child and a parent. I mean, I'm currently going through something with one of my kids where I can call continuously and my calls don't even get answered.
And the phone rings.
But when I look at the initial of what happened between the two of us, from my perspective, I was just being a good mother by wanting you to learn something that was right. From their perspective, like Jamie says, they don't always see it like that.
Yeah.
So that child is probably looking at it as, no, that's not the characteristics I think my mother should have, so I'd rather stay away from her. So we go through those things. But when that child had moments of saying mean things to me, I walked away and got over it really quickly. So in my opinion, parents get over things a whole lot faster than kids. How do we actually bridge that gap? I think that child needs to make the decision on their own. We will always want to, most parents, make that amends with our kids. But unfortunately, especially once our kids start growing, you can't force them to be close to us and want to make amends.
Well, we'll be listening to more voice notes which are coming in.
Hi there, Sumaya. Such a brilliant and relevant topic considering the society we live in today, with parents who are overworked and kids who are overwhelmed and neglected. And if you look at the suicide rate in our society, I think it calls for concern and for parents to take a more active role. And I believe that parents should come to a realization that their words can either become a voice of confidence or it can be echoes of scar to children, and it can really traumatize them. And I think that just some pointers that I think parents should be cognizant of is the tone in which they speak to their kids, and listen before you lecture your child. And I also think another one is the compliment should be as loud as the correction. So have an equal tone on also seeing the good, not just the bad. And I also think it's important for parents to realize that sometimes situation may call for them to also apologize. And that is a very massive lesson for both parties, the child and the parent. And lastly, I think that words can leave scars that will last into a kid's lifetime as they become an adult. So parents need to be cognizant of what they say, because we all have childhood scars, even parents, and we all need to make an effort to prevent that in children today.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts on how the words of parents can affect the children and how these words can shape or guide them. As a teenager, you're old enough to start seeing how the world works, but you're still building your character. And that makes the things your parents say a lot more impactful than you or they might realize. I've always felt that a parent's words creates a kind of foundation, square one, that children will build from, and it's a place to return to when life knocks them down. You're going to make mistakes, and you're going to go through things that change you. But when you recover and reset, what you fall back on is what your parents have taught you and have planted within you. A great example of this is Thorfinn from Vinland Saga. It's an anime about Vikings. His father taught him that no one is truly an enemy and there's no reason to harm others. And after watching his father get killed in front of him, he spends years chasing revenge. And that anger defied him for a very long time. But when we get to see him again in season 2, he's almost unrecognizable. He's calmer, peaceful, and he's committed to a very different way of living. So after everything he went through, the words of his father guided him back to the person that he becomes, that he wants to be. So for me, that shows just how powerful a parent's voice is. Once you go through your own experiences and make your own mistakes, you return to the values that you were taught. The things that parents say can build a child up, or it can break them down. It can become a source of strength, or it can become a source of doubt. So my advice to parents is simple. Think about the impact your words will have 5 to 10 years from now. Ask yourself if what you're saying is going to help your child grow, if it's going to motivate them, or if it's something they'll carry as a wound. Your wounds don't just shape their day, it's going to shape who they eventually become.
Wow, 2 powerful messages. And this is coming from youthful people. Michelle, yeah, I mean, both of them, had relevant things to say and probably made the young adult and the parent think.
Yeah. I think the expectations we build on our children as well. Also listening to Lavon talking there, me as a parent, it's you think back some of the things we've done in our lives. The expectations we build around our kids are important as well also. I mean, I can talk from my own personal experience where sometimes you put too much, your expectations are too high on your child. And then your child also has a choice. So they can either say, yes, I want to go that way, or no, I'm not going to do it. And then you and I as a parent had this big dream and you had this vision for your child. And they say, no, but that's not the way I want to go. And we sometimes hurt ourselves because of what we're putting on our children. So sometimes it's just good to, from young already, to start spotting what are our kids' gifts, what are their talents, what are their personalities, and work with them rather than against them.
Okay. Another message came through. Let's be realistic. Great show. When you're thinking about it, when we are young and we want to get married, or when we get married, our in-laws expect us to live the way they live. But my husband and I are educated and we do not live in Stone Age. So what advice do you all have?
Well, I love this topic.
No, but it's a reality. I mean, like... a young couple get married. They either starting off, they staying with, either with one of the parents, and they forget that they are their own people and they are young adults and they married and they want to control.
100%. I think, in my opinion, it's up to the couple. A parent will always, as we said, have their own version of what dream they had for their kids, right? I'm a parent, I know. Until we learn, what the greatest dream you can have for your kids is just to let your kid be happy. So with all their decisions, with all their achievements, just that should be our only dream for them. So for me, I think it's up to the couple. And like, I've also gone through experiences where in a relationship, you'll have one that's, oh no, we have to include my family in everything that we do. And there I am, and I'm saying I'm I'm an adult now, I can't always be carting everybody around all the time. It's like we need to focus on our own little family, So in a case like that, and you have one person feeling one way and another one feeling the other way, there's going to be a bit of friction there, so somewhere you've got to...
And since you're mentioning that, this divorce rate is so high
It's
among
high,
young
yeah.
people. And you wonder, like, they have all the luxuries, majority of them. They're more educated, they have everything there compared to, okay, yeah, we're going back to Stone Age, as the person said. But the marriages are just not working out. And these are young adults.
Yeah, because you must know, two people come from two totally different households. So I'll give you an example. I may come from a family where my father taught us, you make your bed, you lie in it. Once you're an adult, you have kids, you're married, you have to run your own house. He or she, whoever, may be in a situation, or they may have been brought up to say, family has to stay close, or your mother always has a say in your life. Now these two people come together and there's controversy now because that one believes that their family and their mother has to have a say in your life. You're independent, and now you start fighting. And then because of the way the world is at the moment, and we have all these tools and technology, we say, you know what, why must I be unhappy? My mental health matters. I'd rather get divorced.
It's the easy way out. And yet no one wants to make it work.
We're just sad.
We're just sad, exactly. Jamie, how do positive affirmations from parents affect a young person's confidence and decision making?
So I'll use an analogy, and we can understand this for positive affirmations or destructive negative words. So we can understand a child's mind, or any human in general, but we'll speak on a child. We'll understand it like the concept of water. So at different temperatures, water is going to change its form. It'll either be gas, or it'll be water, or it'll be ice. So now in this case, especially when it is a parent, your words is that temperature. So depending on your words is going to change the form of that water. But it's like with parents, it's like they have the specific right frequency to like change it almost instantaneously. So I would say that this is the impact that our words can have on us, whether positively or negatively. We just need to be mindful of the fact that it does have the power to literally change our form, our mind, our being, and shape us in that same way.
You know, Jamie, how can young people heal from painful words they grew up with, hearing? What steps can they take?
So it's definitely not going to be easy, but it would be, simply put, to detach from the emotion of it. This will affect you for as long as you believe it to be true, for as long as you believe it to be relevant to you, because then you are keeping it within you. The minute you can recognize, this is not a truth, this is something that I was fed, this might be this person's truth, this might be this person's feeling, it's going to be a lot easier for you to heal from it. Trying not to remove that belief, or trying not to detach from it, is like trying to stay safe but you're holding a bomb to your chest. You have to realize that this word or whatever was said about you, that's not the truth. That's not something that you need to believe in. And that does take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of internal conversations. But it starts with detaching from these things that we believe to even be true in the first place.
Exactly. Liam, would you say that girls, the young female adult experiences goes through this, or would you say that the guys also go through this, but they just don't talk about it, or they don't act it out?
I think both guys and girls probably have very similar shared experiences with growing up, maybe biologically different, but emotionally speaking, I think they are very much the same, very different in their own ways. But I think the guys have a harder time expressing themselves because of common stigma that's put around expressing oneself and opening up about it not being masculine and all of those kinds of tropes. So I genuinely think that men do feel these things, but they don't take the time to really unpack and understand their emotions in that capacity.
And you got to be manly.
Yeah, it's not cool to be. It's not cool to be soft,
Yeah.
I don't feel pain.
No, but that happens, and then when they grow and they have their families, and
then they crack.
Exactly, they crash.
All of that bottling up.
Exactly. Michelle, if you could send one message to parents listening right now, what would you want them to know about the power of their words?
We were chosen by God to be our children's parents for a reason. We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And when we realize that, we get very emotional because it's our child. But when we realize that we're raising our kids with God also, then we're able to make peace with the mistakes that we've made. If your child doesn't want to have anything to do with you, or if your child is angry with you for a mistake that you've made, you need to take it to God. Don't force that child. In their own time, they'll come back to you. For children out there who might be feeling hurt by their parents, remember, your parent is not perfect. They also God's child. They make mistakes. And the decisions that they make is also based on experiences that they've had. So try to see your parents as human beings, not only just as this robot parent. And I really hope that we take more of our parent-child relationships to God, because that's where it started. That's where it's going to end. And we'll find that when we do that, then we are able to understand each other and love each other unconditionally better.
100%. Jamie, rounding off, advice for your counterparts.
Counterparts. You need to, it's this post that I post quite frequently. So it's just be willing to learn. You can't be unwilling to learn. You will go nowhere in life. So sometimes we do also know when to take the back seat and maybe, be open to listening, because if we're not going to listen, how can we expect to be heard? And I think that can go with a lot of things.
And Liam, to the youth out there, that girl who's slamming the door, that boy who took the car keys and just spread and fled out of the house.
As much as it's your first time being parented by your parents, it's your parents' first time parenting you. Even if you're the second born, you're an individual. So it's going to be a completely new experience for them. I think it's important to maintain respect, even if you may not be feeling heard in certain situations. Always be respectful to your parents. And yeah, how you act now, you may learn later on in life from your own kids. So try and be kind to your parents, and maybe that'll be returned to you later on in life.
Well, thank you guys. Great show. And I know everyone, thoroughly took in what all three of you were saying, because it was from different perspectives. As we wrap up tonight's discussion, one thing becomes clear. Parents have the power to shape not just a child's present, but their entire future. The words spoken in childhood don't disappear. They settle deep in a young person's heart and follow them into adulthood. A parent's encouragement can build a confident, gratitude and a grounded adult. Simple words like, I believe in you, I'm proud of you, you are capable, you can do better, can stay with you. So you are capable to do so much better, and guiding their decisions, strengthening their self-awareness, and helping them become healthier parents too to their own children one day is going to happen to you too. As we say, the circle continues. But the opposite is also true. Harsh words, constant comparison, pressure, or criticizing can break a young person, long before they realize it's happening. Those wounds shape us later, in our later years. In their confidence, their relationships, their career, as Michelle said, and even in the way they speak to their own children. So to everyone, and to every parent, and to every youthful person listening, your words matter to your parents and to your child more than you know. They don't just correct or discipline, they build identity. They don't just express frustration, they shape belief. They don't just fill a moment, they echo into adulthood. And to the youth, healing is possible. Understanding your past gives you the power to rewrite your future. You can choose new words, new patterns, and a new way forward. So let's build a generation, who are not broken, but the voices that raised them, but strengthened them with love and uplifted them. From me, Sumaya Khan, everyone in studio, Assalamu alaikum till next week.
Amazing lady, you know what you gotta do right now. Cover up your beauty for the Almighty. You do all this for your deen, yeah. Sacrifice is only temporary.